So what I'm going to be talking about today are some intentional and practical ways that we as mothers, caregivers, grandmothers, aunties, how we can help instill and build confidence in our daughters. But you can take this information and you can translate it to all of your children, okay? Boys, girls, young and old, because we all want for our little ones to grow up to be well-adjusted adults, right? Adults that are aware of themselves, emotionally intelligent, and they are going to be confident in themselves, and they're going to add to society. Hey lady, welcome back to your new favorite talk show for Christian women, Grown Lady Chat, with me, your host, Dr. Sherunda Simone. Every episode, you know that I like to say welcome to all of our new viewers. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so very much for being here. It is not an accident, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to chat with you in the comments, all right? So if it's your first time, drop a comment down below. Let me give you a good, proper welcome. And of course, if you have been tuning in, if you've been chatting it up in the comments and on Facebook and Instagram, welcome back. The community continues to grow, and I'm really happy, I'm really excited, and I'm just encouraged by the feedback that I've been receiving. I also have been receiving specific requests for future videos. So if you want me to talk about a specific topic, if you want to be a guest, right, you can do a Zoom conversation with me. Let's start to think about different things that we can incorporate in the community, because I want to make sure that I am serving you to the fullest, okay? We're going to have a great chat today. And of course, every time you chat it up in the comments, every time you show up on social media, whether it's commenting, sharing, liking, every time is another opportunity for you to be entered into the random giveaways. So these giveaways happen just sporadically, all right? The next one is coming up very soon. And if you are a winner of one of the random giveaway prizes, you could get home decor, makeup, face care, beauty, skincare, or faith-based resources and personal development tools. Yes, we love these things, right? So make sure that you're engaged in the community, chat it up in the comments, and one of the easiest ways to do this is by answering the question of the day, right? Of course, those of you who have been tuning in, you already know the preamble, right? Answer the question of the day. That's a great way for us to just generate conversation. I always pin the question of the day down in the comments. Today's question of the day is going to be a bit fun, all right? So think about your first pet, or the first pet that you were introduced to. So maybe your grandmother's pet, your best friend's pet, it doesn't matter. What was that pet's name? And then think about the name of your childhood street. So what street did you grow up on for the majority of your childhood? Put your pet name and street name together and tell me what your name would be in the comments. I'll go ahead and answer mine, so you can check out my answer below. Hey lady, are you a woman who loves the Lord and who also enjoys beautiful things? Well, if you are, then you are personally invited to join my exclusive Christian women's group. In this group, we chat about clothes, beauty, home decor, parenting, marriage, cooking, and of course, our Christian walk. It's Christian lifestyle all-encompassing. So be sure to join by clicking the link below. I hope to chat with you soon. Now back to our show. So the very first thing that I would recommend, and this is something that I'm constantly doing, okay? It's not like a one and done, is I work on myself. We've got to work on ourselves because we know that we cannot give that which we don't have. We cannot pour from an empty vessel. We can't teach someone how to play the piano if we've never taken a lesson, okay? You have to first look at yourself. Work on your own self-confidence and awareness, because that way you can show them by example. Children are always watching us. They are taking cues. I can see the best of me and the worst of me in my children, all right? And so that just lets me know that they're paying attention, more so to our actions than even our words. So before you even say, okay, well, I see this concern, or even if you don't see a concern, but you want to make sure that you're really ramping up the ways that you can support your child's confidence, you first have to work on yourself. You know, like when you're flying in the airplane and they're giving you the safety information and instructions before the plane takes off, and they always say, in the event of loss of oxygen or air pressure, make sure that you put on your own mask before you assist someone else. It's the same exact thing. Before we can help our daughters be more confident, we first have to be aware of our own issues, our own shortcomings, our own insecurities, and then work on them. And I'm not saying that I have everything figured out, okay? I still have my own insecurities and areas where I need to work on confidence, but I'm constantly aware of and trying to be intentional about overcoming those hurdles with the help of Christ, with friends, with personal development. So before we even talk about what we can do for somebody else, lady, put on your own mask, okay? Work on yourself so that you can pour from what you already know, what you're already working on. We always want to make sure that we have enough to give others. But if we are just working off of fumes, scraping the bottom of the barrel, our mask isn't on, so we can hardly keep our eyes open because we're starved for oxygen and we're trying to help somebody else, we can't be effective, right? So very first thing, work on yourself, your self-awareness, your emotional intelligence, your self-confidence. And it's a constant process. I know you realize this as a parent, that your children do what you do far more than they do what you say. I know that very often as parents, we want to show up and make it seem as though we have everything together. For some things, that's important, right? Especially because, you know, children at different ages, they need to feel a certain level of security, knowing that, hey, mommy and daddy, they know what they're doing, right? But then there are other things and there are other times that it's okay for us to be vulnerable and let them know, hey, I'm working on this as well. Let them see that you too are working on yourselves and that you're not perfect. Because what happens when we portray that we are perfect and have everything figured out and we don't, then when there is a hiccup, when there is a mistake, then it confuses our children. And they're thinking, okay, well, wait, you said everything was fine. You said you were perfect. You said you never make a mistake. But here you are. I can physically see you making mistakes and things are not perfect and things are not always fine. So, of course, we have to use wisdom, right? So you don't need to share all your business with your children, okay? Especially when they're young. They don't need to process all of your problems, okay? That part. But we do need to be genuine and just let them see that, hey, you know what? Mommy's still working on this as well. We are the first role models our children are going to see. And while that's a big ask, with God, it's possible, okay? You're not doing this by yourself. You're doing this with God. And you're also realizing, like, look, you know what? I'm not always going to get it right, but our heart posture, our intention should be to be role models for our children. So let me just say this. There are certain trends, whether it's fashion trends, whether it's social media trends, there are certain things that I will not do on account of the fact that I have young children. Now, am I still living my life? Absolutely. Do I still do grown things? Absolutely. But I'm also aware of the fact that if they see me following every trend and fitting into every circle and doing what everybody else does, and I'm always up with the latest, greatest, then they're going to feel as though they need to do the same thing. And as Christ followers, all right, we know that we are supposed to be in the world, but not of the world. And so I am very aware of the fact that my children are looking and they want to find out. My daughter is looking to see, you know, is mommy going to act like that? Is mommy going to dress like that? Because if she is, then maybe I need to do that because all my friends are doing it. All my, you know, the people in my class are doing it. And so I want to give my children, I want to give my daughter permission to be different. And I do that, yes, with words, but also by being different and being okay with standing out myself. Your children are watching you. And so there are some sacrifices you're going to have to make so that you can be the role model for them, so that they don't always feel they have to fit in. They don't always have to jump off the bridge if their friends are jumping off the bridge. You know what I'm saying? That's a common thing that we say as parents, right? Well, if your friends all want to jump off the bridge, would you do it too? Of course, the answer would be no. But if we are showing them that every trend and every social norm, we are doing it, then they're looking at us like, yeah, but I see you do what everybody else does. I see you work double hard to fit into every group. So what makes it different for you versus for me? Again, you are a parent, you have your own prerogative, okay? At the same time, we still need to be a good role model. So yes, there's some sacrifice in there, but it's all for the big picture. It's all for the bigger good, you know? And as parents, you know, once you step into that role and say, hey, I'm going to mother, you have to be a mother. And sometimes that means sacrificing. Hey lady, it's your girl here, Dr. Sherunda Simone, and you're watching Grown Lady Chat, your new favorite talk show for Christian women. You might be asking, Dr. Sherunda, how does that really help my child be more confident? When they're okay with not fitting in, when they're okay with not doing what everybody else does, it empowers them to be okay with being different and being comfortable in their own skin. If your daughter feels as though she has to dress a certain way to be accepted by others, and that's the only way that she can move through this world because she sees you doing the same thing, then guess what? She's not confident in herself. She's trying to fit in. She's becoming a mold of whatever situation she's in. She's not her own person. She's whoever she's around. She's a chameleon. We don't want that. We talk about grown-ups who do it. So why would we want that for our children? I love giving compliments. There is just something about saying something nice, genuinely nice to an individual and seeing how it changes their countenance, how it enables them to, you know, push their shoulders up just a little bit and stand a little bit taller, and maybe, you know, their smile gets a little bit brighter. So I enjoy giving compliments, and I start here at home. Okay, I start here at home, and the culture in our home is that of giving compliments. And we also try and teach our little ones how to receive compliments as well. Because have you ever talked to somebody and you can tell that they are so uncomfortable with receiving a compliment? Right. We don't want to raise our children like that, right? We don't want our little girls not to know how to act when, you know, a boy says, hey, you're cute. And then she loses her mind, okay? Or she starts thinking, oh my gosh, he's got to be the one. No, we don't want that. We want well-adjusted children, well-adjusted little girls who grow up to be well-adjusted, self-confident women. So give compliments, genuine compliments, but don't stop there. Right? You might be thinking, yeah, that's a no-brainer, but don't stop there. You have got to encourage your daughters to say the same thing about themselves. Who do you hear all the time, no matter what? What's the one voice that you can't turn off? Hopefully it's God. Okay, you should definitely be hearing from God. But the next is yourself. You have heard yourself talk since day one. From the day you were born, you had thoughts, you had self-talk. And so I like to not only be the one to say, oh, you're so beautiful. And for my boys, oh, you're so handsome. You're so smart. You're so strong. You know, Lauren, you're so feminine. You're so girly. I don't want to be the only one saying it because yes, they hear it, but it's even more impacting and more powerful when your children say it for themselves. When your daughter looks in the mirror and says, I am so pretty, it has a deeper impact because it's coming from her mouth and it's in her mind. So encourage your little ones, encourage your grown children too, to compliment themselves. There's a verse in the Bible where it says, encourage yourself in the Lord. Yes, and the Bible also says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So we need to tell ourselves constantly that we are wonderful, fearfully made, right? That you're beautiful, you're strong, you're smart. Now, there are times when I don't feel all that beautiful, okay? There are some times I look in the mirror and I'm like, ooh, girl. But then I try and catch myself and say, no, none of that negative talk. Because if you heard your child saying that to himself or herself, what would you say? Stop that negative talk. So do the same thing to yourself, okay? So there's that. But make sure that when you are teaching your little ones, your daughters, about being confident, encourage them to speak to themselves. So yeah, I have my daughters, well, my boys too. I make sure that they look in the mirror and say, yeah, I look good today. I look good, I feel good, I smell good, I'm smart. I am affirmations, I am statements. Because we know that once they exit the front door, once they get on that school bus, once they get into college, once they go to that job, once they meet that person, they are going to hear some negative. They're going to hear some unkind words. They are going to have their confidence smacked down, slapped around, and they need to know how to bounce back because guess what? Their self-talk needs to be able to refute. A big thing in my house, let's say, one of the kids are having a moment, they're not feeling too hot. They say, oh man, I'm so stupid First of all, we don't even use that word. We say, excuse me, what? No, 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 no. That's almost like a curse word in this house. But then before I can even say, don't you talk about my son like that. Don't you talk about my daughter like that. Before I can even say it, one of the little ones, another sibling is popping up and saying, hey, don't talk about my brother like that. My brother is smart. Now that's something they had to learn. They didn't come out the womb doing that, okay? Because, children are born naturally selfish, all right? So if you don't break that all to them, they will grow up as selfish adults. Yeah, we all know that, right? So and my husband, we make sure that, hey, if someone says something negative about themselves, we say, stop that. Don't talk about my child like that. Don't talk about my brother like that. Don't talk about my sister like that. It's effective, all right? So try it out. Let me know how it works for you. When I was growing up, they did not have a lot of dolls that looked like me. Okay, you had your certain few, but they didn't have as many as they do now. So, big kudos to the toy industry, whoever, decided to expand the variety. Awesome, love it. So I am very aware of the fact that there are all types of people in the world, and I don't want for my daughter to grow up thinking, okay, only one type of beauty is beautiful. I don't think that's healthy either, because the rest of the world is very keen on making sure that people know what they believe to be beautiful and what's not. And I don't want my child or my children to be a part of that ugliness, So instead, I make sure to say, everybody, every type of person, skin color doesn't matter, hair color doesn't, everybody has beauty. But guess what? Here's your specific, unique beauty. And then I'll tell her, oh, I love your cinnamon skin. I love your kinky curly hair. I love how when I pull it, it gets long, and when I release it, it snaps back. I like how it can go curly or straight. I like how it's full and full of texture. I talk with my daughter like this. And when my bonus baby Layla was here, now she's in college, I would let her know too, like, ooh, girl, your eyes are so beautiful. I love your hair texture. It is so awesome. And I would just continue to say this to her every time I looked at her hair, touched her hair, did her hair. I made sure she knew. Of course, there are things we can work on. Yes, right? We can work on things physical, internal, external, absolutely. But the unique qualities of your daughter, you need to spell them out to her, because again, when she goes outside, that might not always be what she notices. That might not always be the kind words that she receives. I want for her to know that, hey, guess what? Your beauty, your specific beauty, God made you just that way. I tell my boys this all the time. God wanted you to have that dimple. God wanted you to have that nose. God wanted you to have those elbows. God wanted you to have that hair texture. He wanted you to have that complexion. I make sure they know that this is just not happenstance. No, God put you together. The Bible says He knit us together in the womb. So that means He picked everything out. It is predetermined for whatever purpose He has for us here on this earth. We have to look at it that way, because that's what the Bible says. He didn't just slap us together at the last minute like, oop, it's D-Day, let's grab a nose off the shelf. No. And for years, I struggled with my nose because it was a sore spot. People would make comments and laugh and all. So for me, I had to come to terms with the fact that, hey, God, He didn't just pick that nose off a shelf. It was specific for the purpose He has for my life, all right? So tell your children, point out to them, reinforce it, say it often, say it all the time, and then don't forget, have them say it about themselves as well. And now it's time for Dr. Sherunda Simone's random but helpful information. Today I'm wearing an all-white two-piece coordinate set, and I would like for my whites to be absolutely brilliant white. But I've noticed that over the years, when I launder my whites in hot water, I put it on the white, bright white setting, and then I add a touch of bleach, like most of us have been taught, I noticed that my whites are getting yellow and dingy. And so I was like, ooh, what's going on? But recently I came across liquid laundry bluing solution, and it has made all the difference because my whites are now white again. So now instead of using bleach, I use my laundry sanitizer, which I chatted and shared with you in a previous episode. and I put a little bit of that liquid bluing solution in. And of course, I make sure that I dilute it properly so that I don't ruin my clothes. But let me know if you give this a try and if you notice that your whites are far more brilliant and bright. You're welcome. We all know that parenting is a journey. It is not a destination, right? So there are times when I can find myself getting a little concerned or worried if I hear some negative talk, or if I see that maybe the confidence in a certain area is lacking in any one of my children. So I want to just remind you, don't be worried. Don't be worried. You're still planting seeds, okay? You still have issues and insecurities that you're working through, but you're working through them, and that's the key thing. So again, when we're talking about being intentional about raising confident daughters, confident sons, we have to be aware of the fact that it's not a one and done. It's not always going to be perfect. And with age, with experiences, they are going to be dealing with different issues and different confidence concerns, all right? So just stay the course. The Bible says that if we train up a child in the way they should go, when they're old, they will not depart. That's in Proverbs. So we take the word of God and we believe it and we plant those seeds. We water them. We stay consistent. We follow God's plan to the best of our ability. And then we expect and wait for the harvest. I like to let my little ones know, hey, I'm here working on it with you. You're not alone. I'm not just telling you, here's what you need to do and then sending you off to figure it out yourself. No, mommy's right here. I let them know mommy's here. And when I see them doing something proper, when I see the tides changing, when I hear their self-talk improving, then I say, hey, I see you. I see that improvement. I acknowledge it. And then that boosts their confidence even more because they're thinking, yeah, I was really working hard at this, but I don't know if it's actually working. Guess what? I see you. I see you, honey. I let Lauren know, Lauren, I see you. I see you making improvements. I tell Brennan, hey, I see you. I see that growth. I let my children know, Cammie, I like that. I like how you handle that situation. I like where your heart was in that moment. Let your children know that you see what they're doing, not just the A's that they bring home, not just the good report cards, not just the sports achievements. Let them know, I see your heart growing. I see your love for God. I see you excelling as a brother, as a sister. I see you doing better with cleaning your room. I see you doing better with helping your younger siblings. I see that. Find ways, be creative, find ways to boost your child's confidence when you see them doing the right thing. Now, don't shoot the messenger. Don't get your feelings hurt, okay? We're all here to learn together. One thing that I have been extremely focused on, especially as I've been on a health journey, weight loss journey, I've given birth to 3 children. I'm in a blended family of 5 children. So I have 5 children, I've birthed 3. And after each baby, there is a weight loss journey. Okay, Brennan was the biggest journey. After Cammie, that was the shortest journey. And Gigi, but I still have about 10 pounds that I'm working on, okay? And my family knows that mommy is going to try and make healthier decisions more often than not. But one thing that I have been very aware of is negative talk about myself in front of my children. Again, I'm not saying that I always act like I have it together because we don't want to do that. But I'm talking about, when you bash yourself. Oh my gosh, look at this roll. Look at this flab. Look at this. And you just start picking on yourself. I don't do that in front of my children. I don't do that because I don't want for them to become self-conscious because they see their mother self-conscious, right? And yes, I want for them to know, hey, there are aspects of your hygiene or aspects of your physical self that you need to work on. Absolutely. They need to learn these things. That's fine. That's a part of parenting. However, I don't want for them to think that nitpicking yourself is appropriate. It helps them to know that I have a goal. It helps them to know that I want to be more healthy. It helps them to know that I want to, that I'm making more healthy choices. I'm eating vegetables. I'm eating, it helps them to know that. So I let them know that part, but I don't really go in on the, I don't feel like this. I don't feel like I look like, I don't let them see all of that because it's not helping them. Especially as women, when the digital world has us thinking, if you don't use your sense, your common sense, has people thinking that these bodies were made in the gym and in the kitchen. Girl, most of them were not. And let me tell you something, I was so naive. For the longest time, I'm thinking like, what? She had how many kids? And she's how old? And how come her body look like that? Now, there are some people where it's like, it's true, right? Come on, grown ladies. It's some of you out there are just like 10 out of 10. You put in that work and it shows. But then for the others that had me fooled, I mean, and I'm not against, you do what you do. If that's the choice that you decide to make, great. But I was believing that there was something wrong with me because I didn't have that immediate snapback after baby number 3. So yes, my children will see me working out and they will see me doing self-care. And there are times when I tell them, I am going to go take care of myself. And I think as women, we should teach our daughters the importance of self-care. I've said this on many episodes. Women are natural nurturers, we're natural givers. And so we will give, and give until there's nothing more to give. Which you might think, oh, that's just great. No, that's not. That's not wise. That's detrimental to yourself and to your loved ones, because once you've given more than you have to give, then you're left in a negative space. You're deficit. So you can't give anything else. You can't give to yourself. You can't give to others. You're burnt out. You're unhappy. You're stressed. Then your body's really acting crazy because hormones are out of whack. Then you're gaining weight, and you get frustrated because of that. Then you have pimples everywhere, your hair falling out. I mean, this is really what can happen. So no. We don't want to give and give and give till there's nothing more. There is no glory in that. That is foolish. But what we can do is take care of ourselves and be a good role model to our daughters and show them it's good to pull away sometimes. It's good to say, no, this is my space, my time. And that's okay. That's not neglect, that's wisdom. And that will enable her to have more confidence and more self-awareness to say, hey, you know what? Right now I'm emotionally tapped out. I need to back away. I need to regroup. I need to have some quiet time with God. I need to go, go to a spa, take some time out for myself to regroup, refresh, relax, rest, reset. That's okay. That is a big part of self-confidence. Knowing when you are almost at the end, you need to refuel. The tendency, especially when we're talking about younger children and even older children, the tendency is to want to do it for them. I know there are times when I'm like, oh my gosh, it's taking you so long to clean up this room and you're stressing me out because you're whining as you clean up the room, so I just want to do it for you. Or let you off the hook and say, worry about it next week. But then if we do that, are we really instilling confidence in our daughters, in our sons? Are we really doing that? No, because then they are going to become lazy individuals, mediocre individuals, or dependent individuals. All of those things are not acceptable. Okay, I don't know about your host, but let me know in the comment section if you agree. We're trying to create well-rounded adults that can give to their society and help in their own households, okay, and set up their own households. Like that's what we want. But we need to give them the life skills, and allowing our little ones to figure it out is so important because it gives them the confidence. Once they, fix that Rubik's Cube in life, it's like, okay, whatever that little Rubik's Cube is for them in that moment. I have a middle schooler, whatever his Rubik's Cube situation is, I give hints. I drop hints here and there, but ultimately I'm going to say, hey, son, figure it out. Now, if you need help as you figure it out, come back to me and I'll check in. Remember, I don't just leave them to figure it out on their own. They need to know, hey, mom is there for me, but I have the skills, the capability, the wherewithal to do it myself. I do that for all of my children, even the big ones, my young adult kids, same thing. I'm like, hey, figure it out. Come to me. Let's chat about it. I'll give you some guidance, give you some guidelines, and then I expect for you to come up with a solution, right? So I think that's really important. Self-confidence, knowing that you can do it yourself. Tying the shoes. Sometimes I'm watching, now he's really good, Cameron. But when he was first learning, it was like, oh, he's taking so long. He's taking so long to tie the shoes, but he's doing it. And so if I stop him now, it's going to shoot down his confidence. Just a smidge, but all those little moments, they add up over time and they become bigger and bigger. And so now he's like, well, I can't do it because mom always does it. No, so I say, you know what? Calm down. Let him take the minute. the minute and a half to tie the shoelace when it would take me a few seconds. Let me just let him have that. Now he does it with confidence. If you are finding these tips and practical ways helpful, make sure you drop it in the comments below. Also, don't forget to answer the question of the day. And last but certainly not least, we have got to make sure we let our daughters know that it's not always about them. It's not. I think we should let some adults know that too, right? Male and female. It's not always about you. And I tell this again to all of my children, all right? But especially in the world right now, when women are touting the expectation that they should just be taken care of without adding any substance to marriages or relationships. They should just show up because they're cute, and that should be enough. No. I tell my daughter all the time, because she's young and I want for her to realize this. Like, look, pretty brats are still brats, okay? Just because you're pretty doesn't mean that you can act like a brat. No, if you act like a brat, you're still a brat. I don't care how cute you are. I tell her that, and so I like to remind her, like, it's not always about you. In this moment, I'm giving your brother a compliment. I tell my boys the same thing. Sometimes I'm like, hey, Cammy, it's not about you. It's about Gigi. Hey, BJ, it's not about you. It's about Cammy. I let my children know, the little ones that are always, around us and they're in the house pretty much all the time with us. I let them know, guess what? The world does not revolve around you. And you might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with self-confidence? Doesn't that take away from their confidence? No, it builds a reality expectation, a very realistic expectation in life. Because see, if we let our children believe that the world revolves around their little tushes, they go out into the world and then they realize that very few people actually do care, then we're setting them up for emotional failure. And then they're not going to be as confident, and then they're not going to want to take risks, because guess what? If it doesn't work their way, if the world doesn't revolve around them, then they're going to feel so let down and so disheveled that they will never accomplish greatness. They'll never accomplish anything, actually, because they're going to be so afraid of what would happen if the world doesn't revolve around them and happen as they expected. So I like to remind myself and my children, the world does not always revolve around you. It's not always about you. Now, when it is about you, we're going to do it up, okay? We will celebrate birthdays for whole weeks at a time, month at a time, okay? When something good happens, there is an accomplishment. Oh yeah, we go all in. We'll have a party for anything, okay? We enjoy celebrating one another in the house. So we're not taking that away. But I just like to let them know that guess what? It's not always about you. Sometimes it's about somebody else. But that doesn't take away from your awesomeness. It's just not your time to be celebrated in this moment. But when it's your time, we're all going to be there, show up, show out, and be extra. And that is it for today's episode of Grown Lady Chat. I hope you enjoyed it. I could have gone on for hours longer. I do plan on doing possibly some lives. Let me know, would you guys be interested in live shows? All right, so of course there would not be all the editing and production. It would just be us chatting in real time. Let me know in the comments, would you be interested in that? And I'm also now hosting guests on Grown Lady Chat. So if you want to be a remote guest, we can do a Zoom or a StreamYard conversation. That's an option as well. Let me know if you would like to be a part of the Grown Lady Chat show. All right, I am so excited. I cannot wait to hear from you. Again, be sure to answer the question of the day, chat it up in the comments, and stay tuned for our next random giveaway. Until next time, I am Dr. Sherunda Simone, and remember, I will either see you at the top or from the top. You decide. Bye.